being 30 and single is completely okay. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You're not expired. And ultimately they need to understand that finding a husband is not easy. They're not sold at the supermarket. Because trust me, I went to aisle 12, nothing but organic hummus. And
whoa.
it's okay.
That's our teaser right there.
Yeah. Hey guys, it's Ilana.
And Jonah.
And welcome back for another episode of Seeing Other People
podcast. Welcome.
Jonah, how are you today?
I am doing excellent. I'm in Brooklyn still. I have rearranged my camera in a new way. So if you guys are watching us on YouTube, you might see a little bit more of my room now, which is a quick reminder.
I see all of your coats.
We do have a YouTube, and you can watch this on YouTube if you want. Ilana, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm focused on your coats and the fact that you don't have any normal sweatshirts in your apartment, which is something I recently learned about you, and I'm a little thrown off.
That's incredibly confusing because I have an entire section of my closet that's to the left of my coats that has sweatshirts. In fact, I don't. Oh, you know why? Because my laundry was out when you were here, and that's why that was happening. And maybe I had one sweater here. It was the Bear Martini sweater, which I did wear in that video recording. And I don't know if you saw, but Kim Kardashian's mother, what's her name again? This is crazy. Chris, that's our guest, by the way, who we're about to introduce. But Chris Kardashian wore the Kris Jenner wore the.
I even know that, and I live under a rock.
You do not live under a rock. You love pop culture.
Hold on. When it comes to the Kardashians, I recently took a test that my friend Jordan gave to me where she showed me all the people in like the Kardashian Jenner extended family. And I think I was able to identify 3 of them.
Okay. Anyway, so they no, don't care.
We're going to lose some listeners right there. Yeah, you guys. I'm sorry. I'll learn. I'll be better.
Ilana, why don't you introduce our guest? I feel as if we should do that because there is some follow-up from previous episodes, but I actually am curious Zahra's take on all these things. So,
and I am very excited to introduce our very special guest, Zahra. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi guys. Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to chat with you guys and share all the secrets of dating, single and 30.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, yeah. Are we both 30? Are we both 30, Zahra?
Yes. Are you 32?
I'm 30, comma, TOO. Yes. Yeah.
Yes. We're talking as if it's a crime, like as if we have committed a crime, that we're 30 and single.
Yeah. I mean, it is unfortunate. There's this stigma that that's a crime. I love it. I think I've never been happier in my entire life in my relationship status, which is very single, and age never felt better.
I do have to tell you that dating and being single and 30 in our culture, for those of you who don't know, I am Afghan Muslim, Middle Eastern. And in the Middle Eastern culture, if you are 30 and single, there must be something wrong with you. In other words, you are expired. So
there is absolutely nothing wrong with you.
Expired.
You are the farthest thing from expired. So I'm excited to get into that. And just a little backstory, Jonah and I first met Zahra during an Instagram live back in March. And this episode and 3 of us hanging out and chatting together is a very long time coming. And we're all super excited.
Quick reminders.
Likewise.
Quick reminders, guys. We do have a Patreon account. If you want to support us, you can do a cup of coffee. You could do a profile revamp. You can get a sweatshirt, a hat, which Ilana and I are just finalizing the designs for. By the time this episode comes out, they'll be done. Very cool stuff on there. We have a YouTube page, Seeing Other People on YouTube. The podcast is us in video form. If you want to comment and engage there. And Ilana, one of the things that we actually got quite a bit of comments on is people want some more follow-up. They want a little bit more of a recap of where we're at in our personal lives and the lessons we've learned from previous episodes. And Zahra, I think this is a really fun thing that we can actually kind of grill you on as well. We did an AMA. My AMA day is on Sunday. So on Sunday we did an AMA day and I polled the audience. Someone said, are you going to ask Ilana out? And I'm curious, do you know what's your guess? It's an Instagram poll, right? So what's your guess in terms of percentage of people that said, I should ask her out versus people who think I'm going to versus people who don't think I'm going to?
I am a huge supporter of Jonah and Ilana one day to happen. Why? Because sorry guys, don't kill me, but I think it'll make a great story to share to the kids one day.
Oh,
What
Like
are kids
mommy.
like? Oh boy. Our kids would be very outgoing.
Were you just gonna say mommy and dad? What were you
Yeah,
gonna
like
say?
mommy and daddy first went on a date. It didn't work out. Then they started this amazing platform and they saw other people. But you know what? The universe brought it back together.
So what percentage of people think? Do you take a guess? Because I have the actual numbers.
I'm gonna say a nice solid 78%.
78 said that I'm going to ask her out. Okay. Actually very close. Alana, do you know the numbers or do you want me to?
I do know the numbers.
Okay. So it was a 60-40 split. 60% of people answered that I'm going to ask her out. 40% said I was not going to ask her out. Alana, have I asked you out since this poll?
You haven't asked me out. In fact, all you've done is give me a not comfy sweatshirt to wear and not return my phone or my mic stand or my phone case to me when you came to Manhattan. And you've done everything but ask me out, Jonah. So is this the part? Is it happening live? We have future kids that we're talking about now.
Our future children are at stake.
They're going to be listening to this. What do you have to say to them?
I don't know if I want to be. I don't know if I can. You have 5 dates lined up every week, according to our last episode. So you know.
No, I said that.
What's the secret? 5 dates?
I don't. Okay, back up. Hold on. I said that once, and it was like referencing a time deep in quarantine where it's like end of summer, early fall, where people are starting to like go out again. I had been home for 5 months, so I had talked to people throughout that time who it was always like, oh, like when I'm back in the city, when they're back in the city, when we feel like we can meet up, we will. So it was like I was going back and suddenly I'd promised all these people that I was talking to for a while that I was going to meet them. So I did. This is not a regular occurrence by any means. In fact, I've been on, I think, 1 date in the last 3 months. And during the date, he told me that I need to stay in therapy because I have a lot to work through. And then proceeded to ask me 20 minutes later.
Zahra's face.
20 minutes later, he was like, so are you going to talk about me on the podcast? And I go, I mean, if anything, I'm just going to talk about the guy who on a first date told me I needed to stay in therapy. There is not going to be a second date.
Wow. I'm sorry you had to go through that. That sounds, I mean, you were texting me, so I'm acting surprised, but I do know intimately about this date when it was happening. Also a weird thing. Well, no, I don't want to get into that detail, but whatever.
What, me freaking out before the date and asking you what to wear?
No, him talking about how he like wasn't going to drink and then.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, can I jump into that?
Please.
Yeah.
So drinking in the Muslim culture is sort of looked frowned upon. It's against our religion. So a lot of us, when we go on dates, we don't tell the person or we don't show it in our dating profile that we drink because you're immediately judged or given a label if you drink. So I went on a date 2 weeks ago and his profile stated that he doesn't drink. And I was very public about it, that I like to have a glass of wine here and there. So I show up on this date and he has 6 drinks.
What?
And I'm like,
what?
Mind you, I was so nervous.
State that he doesn't drink?
Exactly. So I went onto the date a little bit early. By the way, I always like to show up early. I don't like to show up on time. I don't like to show up late. I'm there a little early just to get myself together. I ordered a glass of wine. And as soon as he came in, I was like, I really hope you don't mind, but I ordered a glass of wine. And I know you don't drink, but that's who I am. I want to be honest. I want to be transparent. I like to drink. He's like, oh, don't worry. I drink too. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure you said no in your profile, but sure.
Like at that point, you don't have to give an answer. Like it doesn't have to be on your profile. So just don't say yes or no.
Were you relieved that he did drink? Was that something that you were happy
and
about?
I really want to talk about it because I was so relieved because we had a great time. I really like this guy, but I think it's not just him. I respect people's privacy. I think we're so afraid of what the community thinks of us as dating in the Muslim culture because dating is frowned upon. We're not allowed to date, let alone having a boyfriend. So even having a glass of drink is something that people don't share because they're immediately going to be labeled or judged as not culture, doesn't have moral values by just having a glass of wine.
Wow. Yeah. Can you walk us through a little more of like how you grew up and what dating, like how you were taught about dating and relationships and marriage and all that?
Tell us everything.
Absolutely. Well, again, I come from the Middle East, and in the Middle Eastern culture, dating is sort of forbidden. You're not allowed to have a boyfriend. The only boyfriend you're ever allowed to have is your husband. And some people might say, well, how is that even possible? That's arranged marriages. Arranged marriages very common, exist. And now it's a little bit more different, meaning the parents will choose the guy for you, or you get some suitors, very much similar to Netflix. I think it was called Indian matchmaking, but it does very much exist. My sister actually had arranged marriages. Most of my siblings and most of my cousins. I was born and raised in the Western culture. And I think they consider me the rebellious child because I don't want to meet my husband on my wedding day. I want to go on a date or 2 or 3, or maybe even a couple of months and date him and really get to know him. And I think a lot of us are, but a lot of us Muslims, we date, we like to say behind the curtains. We don't get to take our boyfriend and say, meet my parents, because if you ever introduce a guy to your parents, you bet there's a wedding coming up in a week.
Oh my God.
Wait, so wow. Is the idea that you don't meet your husband, and this is going to sound so ignorant, and my apologies, but is the idea that you don't meet your husband until the day of the wedding?
That was very much back a few generations back. Okay. That was how arranged marriages was. So my sister, to give you a bit more of an authentic story and my experience, my sister had arranged marriage and she did not meet her husband until her wedding day. It sounds scary because...
Did she see pictures? Were there photos?
There was pictures, but
like
she had no say.
Like a dossier? Yeah, like
an application. Like, here's the picture, 3 different pictures of the same guy.
Hand printed or like on Instagram? Okay.
No. This is almost 23 years ago.
Okay.
So, but fast forward now, it's a little bit different now where you get to go on a date with this person. There'll maybe be a chaperone back there, but there will be a date. You're not forced to get married. You're not forced to, meet your husband on your wedding day, but this is the history behind it. And it's slowly but surely changing, which I'm so proud of, but I really want to break that wall of just having to put a facade on when you go on date, not being comfortable if you are drinking or not, just be yourself authentically. And it's so hard to find someone who can balance being modern, adapting to the Western culture, but also being a bit more religious. Like just because I drink doesn't mean that I am not this religious girl. Of course, I respect my religion. I respect my culture, but I like to get to know someone before marriage.
Is your sister happy in her marriage?
Yes. Amen. They have 3 beautiful kids and a grandchild. Again, this was 23 years ago. So beautiful life, and arranged marriages work. Does it work? So maybe we've just been doing this wrong with the whole app thing, right? Like
the whole dating thing in general.
The whole dating thing. Maybe arranged relationships. Like, what is the percentage of happiness between like couples that meet, organically? My parents are divorced, and they dated, and they have a really crazy meet cute story, which is awesome. My mom wrote a letter to my dad, left it on his car on a beach in the Hamptons while he was playing Frisbee. It was a piece of toilet paper. She wrote a little hand note, and then we have that framed in my bathroom. And then on their wedding day, they got into a car accident and they got married in a hospital, and she's in a wheelchair and she's totally fine. It's crazy. It's
I just got the chills.
It's out of a movie. And maybe
super
that's
cute.
why I make movies. That being said, they're divorced now. So it's but my question is, I wonder what the science says about arranged marriages in cultures where that's a thing, and then the fucked up dating world of New York City.
There's a high percentage of arranged marriages end up being successful because you sort of get to date your husband as you are together. You get to know him. You guys get to know each other's flaws. You get to meet somewhere in the middle, versus we live, unfortunately, in a world of digital dating where we're shopping for humans. We're not really trying to swipe left or right or press unmatch or match of someone based on their personalities, on their moral values. Obviously, we want to be physically attracted to their person, but everything is literally on the tip of our fingertips, just like shopping. You add it to your Amazon card or whatever, and you check out. And that's what dating has become. You find someone based on their photos, match with them. If the first few minutes don't go as to plan accordingly, you move on to the next. My biggest pet peeve in that, or what I don't find comfort in, is when someone asks my Instagram or my social media accounts, like, hey, do you have Snapchat? Hey, what's your Instagram? Immediately off the bat. I don't like that because I don't want you to get to know me through a catalog of photos.
Yep.
Social media is only 10% of who I am. it's the glamorous life where I always have makeup on. I'm like partnering up with these brands and traveling. And obviously that's awesome, but that's not who I am. In reality, I'm in sweats 90% of the time. I like to be at home with my family. It's not who I am solely. And so when someone says, what's your Instagram? Immediately the first 5-10 minutes, you don't even ask what my favorite color is. You don't even ask like where I'm from, where I was born, and you want to know my social media account. What's your thoughts on that?
Your favorite color is green, by the way. Is that correct? Because you got a green sweater, you got the green plant behind you. Okay.
She has a much better set than we do. We have to step it up. Though we do move around a lot, but
love it.
Speak for yourself, Ilana. I love the fact that people just see my bedroom with the brick wall. I think you could use a better set.
Whoa.
I'm going to tell your future kids that daddy was not so nice.
Have we named our kids yet? Oh my God.
Daddy
stop.
was bad. Wait, can you go back to let's go back a little bit to your dating life. And can you tell us what apps you're on and just what is the dating life of Zahra like right now? What apps are you on? Which app is your favorite? How are you talking on them? Ilana, am I forgetting things?
Well, no, I want to just jump in really quick and I'm definitely aligned with you on the whole Instagram and like getting to know someone through social media concept, because like for me, I'll like match with someone, start talking to them, and then they'll be like, so should I listen to your podcast? Or like, so like I'm following you on Instagram, and I'm like, can you not? Like, please don't, because I know like I would judge me so differently just from looking at
Ilana, so you guys ready for this? So I decided to do an experiment because I'm an influencer. I have somewhat of a nice, decent following.
You do.
So I decided that...
You've been crushing it.
Oh, thank you guys. This is what I did. I was like, you know what? I saw that my Instagram was sort of affecting my dating life, because the minute I gave my Instagram account, the question was, what do you do? Why do you have so many followers, etc.? Or they were intimidated. So I made a personal Instagram account with just my family and friends and posted just like normal things, not related to anything influence world.
You give them that account.
Exactly. And it worked beautifully. Such a game changer, because the influencer world, the social media world, people authentically are getting to know for who you are versus me trying to advertise my coffee, let's say.
Right. That's so true. And look, like I'm guilty of it too. Even as soon as I match with a guy, I will go try and stalk the living shit out of them. I will find their LinkedIn. I will find their Facebook. I will find their mom's Facebook. And then like, I'm collecting all these bits and pieces of information.
Jesus, Ilana, their mom's Facebook.
That was hysterical.
Yeah, I'm being honest.
Nancy Feingold's Facebook. No, we appreciate it. This is a safe place. Yeah.
I hope.
It is.
But like, these are things that I will do. And I'll be like, no, Ilana, don't do this. Like, just get to know this guy, like based on what they're telling you, and then see if you want to go on a date. But like, I will try and like go be a little FBI agent running around collecting all these bits and pieces of information to then make the snap judgment. And I know that that's not fair, because I know that that's not what I want somebody doing with me because of how I portray myself on social media.
I have to add to that, because even though I made that other Instagram account, it was a mistake, because whoever I want to spend time with has to solely accept me for who I am. And they will like maybe my flaws, and they maybe like what I do in my stories. So, even if they look me up and they find me on YouTube doing this makeup tutorial, some guys may be like, what is this? That's too much. Right. Whoever it is that I want to spend the rest of my life with will accept all of that. The right person will genuinely overlook that.
I want to go back to this point that I am a fan of putting myself out there on the Instagram feed. I understand that Instagram is not a real reality, but I would have no problem whatsoever with somebody analyzing my feed, because I actually think it's somewhat accurate to my life that I live. But also, I don't.
But you're the exception, not the rule.
That's totally fine. I'm just saying that the point is there is some benefit to knowing what you're getting into that's going to save you both time. That's like, let's say you find this guy and he's perfect and he's on Hinge, and then you look up his Instagram and you find out, for example, that he has strongly different political views than you, or that he doesn't live in New York and he's withholding information from you. Like, there's things that you can find out that's going to save you time and save you from getting hurt.
It certainly has its pros and cons. Yes, it can definitely filter out the person that is not going to take it serious. It certainly does. There's its pros and cons where they're going to have a percent judgment, and there's the guy that will overlook that. But I agree. There's a pros and cons for it.
So, Zahra, can we go back to what apps are you on and what is your dating life like right now? How often are you on the app? Do you wake up every morning and check your Hinge?
Oh my goodness. My dating life currently is non-existent, but the two apps that I use are,
except for the guy you went on this date with 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Don't sell yourself short.
The two dating apps I'm on is Hinge, which I love, and then Minder. Minder, have you guys heard of Minder?
I haven't.
So
Tell us.
You guys heard of Tinder, right?
Yes, unfortunately.
Take out
Tinder, what's that? No, never.
Take out the T from Tinder and add M for Muslims. So it's Minder, and it's strictly for anyone that is Muslim and wants to meet another Muslim. And I got excited because ultimately I do want to meet someone who has the same religious beliefs. That was my perception now. But I also realized that being on Minder, I was sort of meeting people who were not comfortable being themselves. So these are guys that are great, have great moral values, but also are like not being truly honest on their profile about their drinking because it's a taboo. As a Muslim, you're not allowed to drink. It's against the religion. It's against the culture. And so it sort of was a platform where we want to meet another Muslim, but it's also a place where a lot of people were not being as honest because, again, I met someone there who said they do not drink. And on our first date, there was a couple of drinks there. So I just want to make sure when we go on dates, people are truly and authentically themselves. Where Hinge, I like because you get a little bit of variety. You get a little bit of someone who isn't the same religious belief, but is also open to sort of adapting to the new culture of dating.
Well, I have a question. Based on the fact that like you're technically not supposed to drink or like drinking is like frowned upon, especially on a date, do you think that's the reason why he had on his profile that he doesn't drink? Like in case somebody he knows who knows his family saw and like told on him type of thing? Or like, was it actually just like being dishonest for some other reason?
No, I actually did ask him. I said, why were you dishonest on your profile about drinking? And he said, you know what? I am afraid of getting judged. He said, if I were to say I drink, immediately, and it's true as a female, if I sit to say right now I drink, you immediately are put a label of not being Muslim enough. You're not religious enough. There's just a really negative annotations to it. And at the end of the day, I really want to break that wall, even in our culture, not to rewind back to the previous topic, but being 30 and single is completely okay. Like there's nothing wrong with you. You're not expired. And ultimately they need to understand that finding a husband is not easy. They're not sold at the supermarket. Because trust me, I went to aisle 12, nothing but organic hummus. And
whoa.
it's okay.
That's our teaser right there. That's
That's incredible.
It's totally okay. I think in this, I'm speaking for not just a Muslim female, but anyone that is pressured to get married by a certain age. We all have our own timing in life. Everything happens for a reason. All I ask from you is to be open your doors, and just welcome whoever comes your way.
For the record, to those of you who are listening, Jonah's hair actually looks really good right now. So you might want to...
Can we zoom in? I need to see.
You might want to swap over to YouTube and watch there. Because like his hair can get a little out of control. And right now it looks really good.
So if you can see in the Zoom...
It's like good wild.
You can see in the Zoom, I'm basically able to zoom in onto my thing. I can zoom into my... So now you see me talking like this. Welcome
Jonah, I want a t-shirt with just a sketch of you and your hair. I would wear that t-shirt because your hair is like a signature kind of like.
All right.
Can you make it happen?
There's this artist. There's a really great podcast. Shout out to a great podcast called Drinks First, which is a friend of ours. And her podcast brings on people. She matches people over a podcast to have like drinks, but it's a matchmaking podcast. It's a really cool New York based thing. She has these really amazing cartoon illustration silhouettes of people that she does. Ilana, have you been on the show yet?
I have not been on the show yet.
Okay. We'll make that happen because I think you would actually love
Drinks First, slide in. My DMs are open.
But they do have a nice silhouette of my hair from that. And I need to get that from somebody. But anyway, enough about my hair.
Well, so quick question, Zahra, for anyone, because I know we have a lot of listeners who are 30 or older than 30 and are like like they do feel like something might be wrong with them, or like, why am I single? And also the pressure of like, well, like I see my friends like getting into relationships, getting engaged, moving in together, getting married, having kids, and like them feeling left behind. And even at my age, 26, like I do already feel left behind compared to some of my other friends who are like having these milestones happen. So what advice would you give to them, or what have you been able to tell yourself to remind yourself that it is so normal and okay?
I love that question, Ilana. And my advice is that the universe has a better and greater plan for you than what you have in mind. At the end of the day, we all have this deadline of when we want to buy a house, when we want to have our career together or our life together. You know, that's the journey of life. There's no destination to success. At the end of the day, everyone has their own time. The universe has something planned for you. Be patient. And most importantly, trust the timing of your life. Yes, my nephew is married, you guys. He's 23. He has 2 kids. I'm 30. I'm not. What do I look like?
Wait.
Holy shit.
How old? Hold on. Say that again.
My
23.
nephew. Yes, my nephew's 23. He's an amazing gentleman. He bought his first house. He has 2 kids and he does amazing. He's super immature for his age.
Where does he live?
In New York.
What does he do?
Holy shit.
He does very well. He's in the engineering world. I don't know the Pacific.
He bought a house? 23?
At 23.
I live in a little hut in Greenpoint, Brooklyn, that I rent.
My point is I'm 30 and I just moved into my apartment in New York City. Yeah. Everyone has their own timing and there's no wrong or right. There's no expiration date to success. There's no expiration date to love. Whenever you find love, whenever you find everything that you've ever wanted will happen. You just really genuinely have to trust the timing of your life. And that's the one thing I always tell myself. And thankfully it has kept me alive and happy. Otherwise I'll be underneath the bed.
Well, no, you are impressing. Like you blow us away in terms of your positivity. And so always. I hope our listeners are taking that away and enjoying that. I have a question for you about you and your dating life, because you're so positive. What is your biggest, Ilana and I talk about a lot of different topics in the show, between ghosting and breaking up with someone who you're not really dating, and when to have the what are we conversation and your intentions. What's the biggest thing that you're your biggest dating worry, right? You know, what's your biggest dating stress right now? Do you find yourself that you are the one who has to ghost people, or you're getting ghosted, or you're the one who doesn't, you're the one who brings up your intentions too quickly? Like, what's the biggest, most commonality thing in your dating life that fits into the zeitgeist that we talk about?
I remember actually mentioning it on a couple of months ago, or not months ago, last year on our live session.
That was a long time ago.
Yes, it feels like yesterday, but it was a long time ago. Is how do you tell a guy to leave the playground? And what does that mean? Is that when they are just in the mind, I shouldn't say every male, but some male. To give you a more better example, I went on a date with this guy that I really, really liked. I had a crush on this guy for 2 years. 2 years is a long time to like someone. And we finally met and the date was amazing. And ghosted me, left the face of the earth. And I started thinking there was something wrong with me. What happened? He told me he liked me. Like, what could have possibly gone wrong? 4 months later, he reached out to me saying, I'm so sorry I ghosted you. You were actually an amazing girl. I'm just not ready to commit. And I didn't want to waste your time because I knew what a wonderful person you are. And I didn't have it in me to waste your time. And I really respected that. I wish he told me 4 months ago, not 4 months later. But my biggest thing is, if you're not ready to be in a committed relationship, be upfront about it. First date, second date.
But what if you don't know?
Well, hold on. Here's my thing is that, like, yes, I respect that he came back and decided to tell you that, but he did waste your time. Like, he not by going on the date, but by going on the date and then disappearing. And think about how much time you spent wondering, what did I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? Why didn't he like me? Where am I going to hear from him? Like, checking your phone. Like, I've liked this guy for so long. The date was great. He's going to text me. And then him not texting you for 4 months later. So it's like, if you realize that you're to not waste someone's time, you have to communicate that. Like,
exactly.
Right
so to answer To answer Jonah's question of what if you don't know, I think it comes down to what Ilana said, is just respecting someone's time. I'm not saying you need to know that you want to get married in an X amount of time or you want to be committed relationship. It's okay not to know. You're allowed to go and explore, but know in the back of your head, you have to respect that someone's time, that there is emotions involved, or there is some sort of mutual agreement that, hey, I'm not ready. I don't know what I want, but I'm excited to explore and find out with you. Something like that.
So it's acknowledging that you don't know. That's basically okay. So, this is something I struggle with, right? So here's the advice I'm hearing, and tell me if I'm understanding properly. Next time I'm, going on a date with somebody and I'm like, all right, date number 2 is great, but like maybe, in my head, I'm like very accepting of being single right now. That's kind of canon to the show. And
we know.
Yeah, I know, and don't be so upset about Ilana. All right. Everyone should see Ilana's face right now. She's crying.
I rolled my eyes. Relax.
And is what I should do then, like on the third date, be like, I want to be upfront with you that I don't necessarily inherently know what I'm looking for. I'm liking what we're doing right now, but I also don't want to waste your emotional energy. Therefore, if you know clear and through that you want this to turn into something immediate, like how do I communicate that, I guess is my question.
Well, to add to that, Jonah, and there's no specific formula or recipe of when and how you should say it. It's the most organic and natural thing when you think the time is right? Because you don't know what the other person is expecting. I wouldn't go in deep depth to it, but just getting the intentions out there. What are you looking for? Are you dating because X, Y, and Z? And I don't want to make this into, because really, if you talk about it in the first, second date, anybody will be like a little scared, right? Whether you're serious or not. I think at the end of the day, it's just knowing your intentions. And even just saying, I'm excited to explore it with you, whether I want to be in a serious relationship, whether I enjoy being single, but I want to see where this goes. I guess just acknowledging it.
Another thing you could do is ask her, what are you looking for? What are your intentions? Because then you'll know whether or not you need to bring that conversation up sooner or later,
Well, I sent you. Yeah, that's totally valid. That's a really good idea.
Yeah.
And okay, well let me take my notebook out. You guys can.
I feel like we always overcomplicate things and make things into a much bigger deal than they are. Mm-hmm. But if we just communicated, there it is again. Every episode comes back to that beautiful, beautiful word. If we just communicated, everything would be a little bit easier.
Zahra, before we do get to our questions, I want to ask you, what are you looking for? 2021 today, January 21st, the day that we're recording this, what are you looking for in your dating life right now?
I'm looking to find someone who I can call my partner in crime, someone that I can call a best friend, someone I could potentially build a life with. What that title may be, I love this. It's not up to me to say. But I just want to make sure I'm looking for someone who's ready to commit to each other, whether it could be a serious relationship, or not, whatever it may be. I just want to make sure that they're respecting my time, they're respecting my emotions, and there should be no label to it. Because that is something that is more of a mutual decision than, hey, this is what I'm looking for.
You are here for all the right reasons.
You're here for, is this regardless of religion as well, or this is whoever?
Whoever God, whoever universe has in store.
Yeah. Well, a lot of our listeners, we do try to do some matchmaking on this show. It happens sort of unintentionally, but if anyone wants to slide in, we're happy to. Of course, Zahra, we'll vet it with you first. But this is a slide into the DMs. So wow, okay. I feel enlightened. Ilana, how you feeling?
I have the biggest smile on my head right now. I feel like your positivity has rubbed off on us.
I love that. Because I really want dating to be a fun experience for all. It has become such almost like a job interview. It should be really just fun, careless, have fun with it. Don't worry about how long am I supposed to text. That's a whole different topic of discussion, but it's become so much more of a stressful thing than just really enjoying the moment. If it works, great. If it doesn't, there's a whole world of people out there. It is A-okay.
100%.
Completely agree. You know who needs some of that positivity and some of that advice? our listeners and their
I wasn't sure if you were going to say our listeners or Ilana. So,
well, yeah, we all do, but
depends on the day, depends on the minute.
Zahra, we have 3 questions from our listeners and everyone listening at home. If you guys want to get your questions answered on the show, sign up for our Patreon account. We prioritize those questions first. So some of these are from our patrons, and we're going to give you the best answers we can to some of your dating problems. I'll read the first question, Ilana, if that's all right. Cool. And then, So my roommate and I are best friends. We went through 4 years of school and have been roommates for 2 years now in the city. His younger sister, 2 years age difference, we're 25, she's 23, has been here since she graduated school as well. One night during quarantine, we all got drunk. He left to go to a girl's place and we ended up hooking up. We agreed for it to be a one-night thing, but it kept happening. We also have been texting quite a bit and we have started to get feelings for each other. We've talked about going on dates, but I think I owe him a conversation before we progress any further in our relationship. She says that I don't have to talk to him. What do I do? So,
Ilana, you go first.
So just so we're clear, I'm a dyslexic as hell, so I have comprehension issues. Mm-hmm. But 2 guy roommates, younger sister of one guy comes over, and the other guy roommate hooks up with the sister.
And they both like each other, but they're afraid to say it, right?
They're afraid to say it to the older brother. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh boy.
Well, actually, this has happened in real life.
Okay.
Someone I know, not done myself, but I do know someone that I know that has happened to it. And what they did, the brother who has obviously the relationship with the best friend, he went to him and said, hey, we need to talk. You may not like this, but out of respect of our friendship, because I have respect for you and the friendship, I want to sit down and ask you, do you give me permission to talk to your sister? Not permission like hand in marriage, but like, hey, right. Your sister and I like each other. What do you think? And I'm just strictly saying this, not to disrespect you, not to have you be mad at me, but to get your thoughts. Because I think ultimately, if you love your sibling and if you love your best friend, why would you want them to be together? Or even the potential of dating?
So as the younger sister of 2 older brothers, I have been in this situation. And okay, so one of my brothers has definitely gone out with, hooked up with, dated a lot of my friends. However, and he has a lot of friends who are, shut up, who I'm like, hey, your friends are really cute, or I like this one or that one, set it up. And he's like, no, I don't trust any of them with you, which for me has been really frustrating because I'm like, well, that's not fair. And you can't have 50 friends and you don't trust a single one of them with me. And I get it. He's trying to be a protective older brother, but I have had things happen with his friends. And there have been different instances where often, and obviously this isn't the exact situation, but I've had his friends tell me they like me and say, but I'm not going to do anything because I don't think Brian would be okay with it. And that's been really shitty. And I'm like, well, can you just talk to him? Bring it up. And they're like, no, it's not going to go well. And I've also had the other more similar to this listener situation where, I have made out with some of his friends and he doesn't know. And, it has been do we go down this road or not? Or tell him or hide it. And I think the best thing that I would suggest is maybe go on one date. You two go on one date and decide. If the date goes well and you want to see each other again, then it's worth bringing up. Because you may have had a fun, drunk hookup and sleepover or whatever. And then, it kept happening in this situation. I would go on a real date, a genuine real date and then see. And then I do think it is worth talking because eventually it's going to come out. And the longer you keep it a secret, the worse it's going to be. And I think that goes with all secret situations.
Yeah, you got to that's great story. And now speaking as someone who's the older brother to a younger sister, and having actually one of my best friends has his best friend sister he dates. So this exact story happened. Now they actually been happily dating for a long time. They're probably going to make it together. They're probably going to go the whole 100 yards or whatever that expression is. But I do know for a fact that I've been in situations where I see when the brother is hanging out with him, who again, this is his best friend, and the sister's there, and they're a little bit PDA. They are a little bit PDA heavy. And I'm like, that would suck. like, I get it. I want my friend to be happy. I want my sister to be happy. Don't fucking be kissing and like all over each other in front of me. Like, that's weird. That is weird. And there's no like logical answer as to why that's not weird. So my advice is, this is a moving train no matter what. Someone tells you you can't do it, you're going to want to do it more. Someone tells you you can do it, you're still going to want to do it, but maybe you're going to not. So I think the only thing you have, like, I think this person is right. He is right. You need to confront your friend. You need to say to your friend, this happened. The sister has ulterior motives. They have, 23 years of sibling dynamic that you will never understand. She is thinking in her best interest, not in the best interest of both y'all and your friendship. That's just my, she's all, 23. I know what we're all thinking then. Sex is always going to make us think crazy things. Have the conversation with your homie.
We're 3 for 3. Have the conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Aligned.
Question 2, Ilana.
Yep. I am, in quotes, older and in a relationship with someone who I do truly love and am not jealous of. We've had an open relationship from the jump and are very honest and really happy because the emotional connection isn't really shaken. What are your thoughts on that? Open relationships and feeling strongly about the person you're ultimately with?
Ooh. Hey, to each their own. Open relationships gets very tricky because as the emotions get stronger over time, you may not want to be in an open relationship. I think that's my perspective or advice, and eventually, do you want to have that door open for other people to join that relationship?
Right.
When is the time to say, you know what, I want you all to myself. I don't want to share this anymore.
I agree. It's either going to continue to stay open until one of you meets someone that you like more and decide to close the door on this, or it's going to continue to stay open until one of you decides and communicates like, look, I like you and I want this to just be the two of us.
I always say you either come inside the door and stay and enjoy the moment, or you leave the door. I'm okay with you exiting, but whatever you do not block the entryway. Because staying to block that is never good for both sides. So either go, close the door, or come on in. I'll be fine with either decision, but whatever you do not block the entryway. It never goes anywhere.
You are full of so much wisdom.
That's
Jonah,
great.
what's your take?
That's a great creative mindset too. My take is that I actually don't have a take because I'm not familiar with open relationships, and I wouldn't be able to supply this person with like real value beyond what you guys have said. So I'm aligned with what you guys have said, but I don't want to steer them in the wrong direction.
I think to this listener, you're asking the question, which means you want to tell them and you want to know whether or not that's okay. And if that's where your heart is, like, you have to follow that and listen to that. And if it doesn't work out, then it wasn't the right fit. It wasn't meant to be.
Question 3. Been talking to a guy since mid-February. We went out once in February and hung out again at the end of May. Great chemistry. Lots to talk about, loads of attraction on both sides, messaged all throughout quarantine, spoke on the phone a few times. He went out of town a few weeks ago and didn't respond to a few messages while he was gone. No big deal. He was at a cabin with his family, wasn't really expecting to hear from him. But I know he got back this weekend and I still have not heard from him. He admits that he's bad at responding to messages sometimes, so I don't usually mind double texting or sometimes even triple texting. But at this point, I think it's 3 messages and 2 pictures with no response. Any advice? Classic. We see the symptoms. We ask for the symptoms from the patient. We, the doctors of dating, come up with the diagnosis. I'm going to go first here. This is not a good symptom set. If you were to WebMD this, you wouldn't be happy with your results.
If you were to WebMD this, you would be then calling a doctor, freaking out.
You would have a panic attack. I don't think this is a good thing. I don't know. The only thing, like, we can make excuses for him. Any advice? My advice is drop the game of like trying to get them to respond and send a text message along the lines of, look, let's act this out, like ACTT, but slightly different. Acknowledge that he has not responded or engaged since he's been back, and you guys had a great time together. So compliment him because you're confused, because acknowledge confused / compliment. You were confused because you had such a great time and you were wondering why he's not responding, and terminate. Yeah. Say, look, if you don't want this to continue, I'll leave you alone and stop texting, but like, I would appreciate some clarity. Thank you. Final T. Thank you.
That's perfect. I agree. I think that's the best you're going to do, because then either you get an answer or you get no answer, which is your answer.
Again, I have the same theory. You either come in, welcome, the door's wide open, or you leave. If you're going to be in the between of there, he's currently in the block in the entryway. Just you shut the door. You don't even like ask him if he wants to stay or leave. Do yourself a favor, close that door. Because if that person was genuinely, authentically interested in you, he will find a way. If there's a will, there's always a way.
And if there's not a will and there's not a way, then there's someone else who will have a will and a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Good analysis, guys. Good analysis.
Yeah, go team.
Very informative episode. This has been a blast chatting.
I don't want it to end.
Zahra, where can our listeners find you, and what can we plug on your behalf here to everybody?
Well, first of all, a huge, huge thank you to both of you for inviting me. I had so much fun of talking and chatting and getting to know more about your dating lives and the audience as well.
And our future children's lives.
Yes, which I want to be invited to the wedding, guys. We're going to make this happen. I don't care what you guys say. We're going to make this happen. Everyone is interested. They can find me at Zahra Sahebzada. I know it's quite the long last name. But yes, I make lifestyle and beauty videos in 6 different languages. So don't be confused if you come across,
That's amazing. Well, you're so impressive, and
so
we really
impressive. I'm like,
we appreciate your time. I have a feeling we'll do this again sometime soon.
Oh yeah.
And it'd be everyone slide into the end. You are single, right?
I am single and ready to mingle.
Love it.
Woo! Love it. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to follow us at Seeing Other People on Instagram, at Seeing Other PPLs on Twitter, at Seeing Other People on TikTok.
Seeing Other People Patreon account, all in the link tree.
Patreon, everything. And we can't wait for more.
We'll see you guys next week. Thank you so much. Write in with your questions. Appreciate you, and goodbye.
See you at the wedding.
Bye.